All right, good morning, everyone. My name is William Echevarria. I'm an educator, I'm an investor, and also a creative thinker. And today I want to share a couple of current events. It's been about 2 weeks since I've been able to get online. I've had some travel, I've had some business that I've had to do, but I'm ready to come back over here and definitely share what we've been working on. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Go ahead and just let me know when you guys can see that. Okay.
Yes.
Actually, this is probably not the screen that you guys want to see. Let me try another one.
We can see it. That's not the same one.
Yeah, you probably want to see this one, right? It's a little bit bigger for you.
Yes.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, guys. So for today, what I would like to talk about is some of the current events. If you remember back in early April, I want to say it's probably been a week now, you probably saw on the news that Silicon Valley Bank was out there, right? It was one of the first banks that ended up getting closed down, and then everybody was panicking. They were like, well, where's my money? Is it going to be protected? The FDIC came in there, started talking about that your money is protected to a certain degree, to a certain value, and so on and so forth, right? Well, it's just like all these other events, like after about a week or so happens, you technically forget about them until it shows up again. Well, guess what? Now we have another event that showed up. Okay, so now First Republic Bank seized and sold in fire sale to JP Morgan. So now this is the second bank that ended up happening. Okay, and this was, I want to say, what the article was May 1st. So as you can see, guys, this is starting to become a domino effect. All right, this is not like a one-off. You're starting to see now a lot of the banks are starting to have this issue because what ends up happening is we have the idea that when we put our money into a bank, that it's safeguarded and it's always there and it's readily available. The thing about it is these banks have to make money on your money as well. So the moment you put it in there, they're investing it somewhere. So it's not liquid anymore, right? They put it somewhere, and then if all of a sudden it's like this fire sale, everybody comes into the bank and everybody wants to make a withdrawal all at the same exact time. The banks can't do that. They don't have enough, cash and reserves to be able to do that. So then what happens with you if you are putting all of your money into this bank, all of your faith, all of your trust into them, and then on your time of need, when you say that you got to like pull out, they're not there for you. That's a problem. As you can see right here, who's going to be next? We've already done Silicon Valley and now First Republic. What happens if it's one of the major banks that we all get to? What happens if it's SunTrust? What happens if it's Bank of America? What happens if it's Wachovia, Fidelity, whatever? We don't know unless we actually start looking into it. The thing about it is we as consumers have to be a lot more savvy about what we park our money at. So we need to figure out something else besides just willy-nilly trusting the bank system. All right, and here's some examples of across the world. So late last year, last quarter, I want to say, as you can see, other parts of the world were feeling this exact same thing. Iranian banks right here were limiting cash withdrawals as the financial crisis bites. So what does that mean right there? Literally, all the citizens from Iran, they will go into the bank, they will ask for money, and the bank will limit them $100 or $200 a day. Now, we have something similar like that with our debit cards if we were to go to an ATM. But imagine if you actually did have a family emergency and you can't do wires. Let's say you actually needed the cash and you go to the bank and they just tell you flat out, like, no, the most you can get is $100. How screwed up would you be in that moment? You wouldn't be able to do anything. Imagine if the credit card system like messes up too. You don't have your credit card system. Now you don't have your liquid cash available from the banks. You don't have this, that, and the third. You're pretty much asked out. And that's not a good position to be at. Another example over here with Lebanon, people are actually holding up the banks to withdraw their own money amid the country's financial crisis. So the people finally are already fed up. I park my money into the bank. I'm trusting in you guys. And when I need my time and my emergency, you don't want to be there for me. However, a bank can easily just get a bailout whenever they need it. It's unfair. It's truly unfair. So there's got to be a better way. All right. So I want to draw your eyes to this. All right. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the US debt clock. Okay, there's a website online. You can definitely go to usdebtclock.org and you see this is live. Okay, all of these numbers are trickling consistently, so you can see exactly how we're looking as a nation. You can start digging into a lot more information from here, but the biggest one right here that you want to look at is this US national debt. Now, I know we're not used to seeing numbers this big, guys, but here, 1, 2, 3 commas, 4 commas, that's $31 trillion, guys, and climbing. As you can see, that number is not getting smaller. It's consistently climbing. All right, now I want to bring it down over here where it says the US federal debt to GDP ratio. Look at what it was back in the 60s at 52%. In the 80s, Reaganomics and so on and so forth, and Daddy Bush, 34%. Now look over here in the 2000s, 58, and now 120%. That's ridiculous, guys. Okay, that just means right now that the way that our world and our economy is basically balancing our books, we're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. Okay, so all of that means right there is inflation's going to be at an all-time high. Things are going to cost a whole hell of a lot more. The cash that you have on hand, you're going to have less buying power. So we need to figure out other ways of either making more money or investing so we can grow our wealth. Because if not, as you can see this recipe, this is not stopping for anybody, right? We're always going to be behind this curve. So for us, it's like we got to make our money however we can legally, right? And then from there, go ahead and invest it so we can get ahead of this. Otherwise, we're always going to be behind. 5 or 10 years down the road, what's going to happen is, as you guys are seeing already with the housing market, houses are way more expensive. The interest rates might actually level off. But guess what? A 6% on a house right now is not the same as a 6% on a house 30 years ago. Okay, the cost of the house 30, 40 years ago could have been 80 grand, 120 grand, 6%. That looked crazy. But now you're looking at 6% on a $500,000 house, 6% on a $700,000 house. That's a totally different game, guys. I'm like, don't get it twisted when everybody's like, oh, well, we're okay. We're kind of leveling off. Not really. I'm like, shit is still very expensive. Okay, so another option that I want to bring into your perspective is this, okay? You guys may have been here about 2 months ago when I went through this. And if you didn't, you get the benefit of hearing this for the first time. All right, when you go ahead and invest, okay, this is advice from a billionaire who doesn't park none of his money into a bank account. Okay, this billionaire says this is his rule for investing. If you guys want to take a snapshot of this, definitely save it. It makes sense, reference it, share it with your friends, whatever. All right, so in order for him, his own rubric, his own guidelines and his rules, 3 of these need to be a yes in order for him to invest in. Okay, so when we look at this matrix, there's 4 criteria in here. If it's liquid, that basically means can you go and grab it very, very quickly? All right, is it relatively safe? Does he have to be afraid of poachers or anybody who is essentially trying to restrict him from access? Is it a good investment? Does it have ROI percentage? Right? And lastly, what are the tax advantages of that? As long as you have these 4 in mind, you're moving in the right direction. So we're going to look now in the banks. There's the traditional mentality. This is where a lot of people are used to. When you're 17, 18 years old, the first thing you want to do is go open up a bank account, start funding it. So let's go ahead and review that based off of this criteria. So is it liquid? Well, yes, because you can always go to an ATM, to a bank, and go ahead and pull your funds out. Unless you're in one of those countries where I showed you the examples where now they're putting restrictions and limitations. Is it relatively safe? That's kind of dubious, right? Especially with the examples that I just gave you. But for the sake of this argument, let's go ahead and say that it is. Now, is there an ROI to that? Not really. Anybody who has a savings account in any bank, when you start looking into the terms and what they have to offer to you, you'll notice that it's a joke. They'll give you 0.2% interest or 0.5% interest, something so novel that it kind of is comical in a way when you look at it. The money that you put in there with the rule of 72 that I had previously explained to you guys, it just doesn't add up to anything. What's the point of putting money in there? And the banks are making, money hand over fist on that example right there. Now, do you have tax advantages? There are no tax advantages at all for you putting money into the bank. Any interest that you incur doesn't matter. Can you write off anything in the bank? Not at all. So a bank is not really a good investment vehicle and a good place for you to park your money. Now let's look at the other investment arena, which is the markets. All right, when I say the markets right here, this is any exchange traded fund. This is the stock market. These are bonds. These are all that fit into that bucket. Now, is it liquid? Relatively, yes. As long as you have a brokerage, you go in there, you do a wire, you can pull money out. Okay. Is it safe? Kind of yes and no. As long as you're investing into the right, investments. It could be indexes, it can be futures, it could be whatever, but you're taking the risk. Nothing's 100% guaranteed in life, and definitely not the stock market. Do you have an ROI? Of course. Everybody who plays in the stock market, their whole entire ideal is to make more money off of it. And then lastly, are there tax advantages? Again, you don't have anything because you really fall into capital gains taxes and you fall into what's that term? It's either, oh my God, help me out, guys. Jeannie, what's the name of that when you actually
Like tax deferred?
realize? That's what it is. You got a realized or unrealized gain. That's what I wanted to say, right? A realized gain is when you actually take the money out of the market. Unrealized is when you just leave it in there continuously playing. So there's no tax advantages to that, right? And if you look at the media right now, what Biden has been doing, he's been proposing, okay, and this is just asinine, right? Just so you guys are aware of it, that unrealized gains, he will still tax you on. I want you guys to think about that for a second because that just sucks, right? For all investments altogether. And he also wants to abolish the 1031 exchange. It's just crazy, right? So what that means is when you put money into an account, right, and it says that you're going to gain 20, 30%, whatever it is, you took the risk, you're trying to win, and you haven't pulled the money out, they're saying that on those unrealized gains, you still have to pay taxes on it. How insane is that? Like that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm like, so if you guys are voting, I'm like, definitely vote against that. If you want to build your wealth, if you want to get ahead in life, you need to knock that right away. I'm like, because that's going to kill everything. Like, where's our gains? Where's our protection? Where's everything? That just sucks. I don't understand how that makes sense.
It's like, when do you pay yourself?
Exactly.
You're paying everybody else. Yeah.
It literally kills everything, and especially the 1031 exchange. Like, do you know how that's going to change the market altogether if now we can't actually defer our taxes at all? Like, how are you going to be able to build your wealth that way when every time that you want to roll over your investments to the next property and the next project and the next development, you're paying out the wazoo to the government for that? That's insane. So that's a good segue into the third vehicle, which is real estate. Now, with real estate, you guys are in the market already. Now, the question is it liquid? Unfortunately, it's not. You know that the equity that you have in your home, you just can't easily tap into that. Okay, you'll have to do a refinance, you'll have to do a HELOC or sell it or something to that effect. So you'll never be able to just tap into that money like a credit card, just willy-dilly. There might be some programs that'll start showing up, as this crisis keeps on unfolding. But for right now, as of today, it's not like that. Now, is it relatively safe? Yes. You can look at history, you can look back 40, 50 years, and you can see that on average, homes are always appreciated, at a steady rate. So they're always pretty safe. And let me stay away from saying always because there's situations in where, there's a crisis or something, but you'll see for the most part that it is safe. Now, is there an ROI to that? Yes, depending on how and what markets you're in and what you're looking at, there's always an ROI to real estate. It's always going up, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial or retail, there's always a way of increasing value towards property, because that's one thing that they don't make more is land, right? So once you have a plot of land and you have a building on top of it, it's always gaining in value. Now, are there tax advantages to that? Of course. With real estate alone, there's like 4 different profit centers that a lot of investors, especially there's a statistic that 90% of all millionaires are made through real estate. And this is one of the strategies. because in real estate, the for-profit centers are, you basically get your principal pay down. Okay, you have your depreciation, you have your appreciation also, and then lastly, you have your cash flow, right? Because when you're actually putting a tenant in there, they're paying down your principal and you're still making money off of it. The appreciation is the fact that the house is still going up, and the depreciation is the tax advantage. You can deduct 27.5% for the next 27 years off of that. So that's golden. So as you can see, a lot of investors go into real estate. But then if you look at this last column, you see this question mark in there. This last one right here has 4 guesses to it. It's liquid, it's safe, there's an ROI to it, and there's tax advantages. Would you guys be interested in knowing which one that is? All right, I would. All right, surprise, surprise. That last one is going to be life insurance. All right, when you guys look into whole life policies, okay, primarily whole life policies, because life insurance has either a whole life or they have term. Okay, and there's 2 completely different swim lanes on there with 2 different options and 2 different capabilities. Not all insurance policies are created equally. Not all agents know how to do it, and not all companies can offer that. Okay, you have to look at the right companies, the right agent, build that relationship with them so you can have the living benefits and also the death benefits. Now, with life insurance, is it liquid? Yes. All you have to do is literally send an email or a phone call, talk to your agent, and you tell them, hey, I need to take out money from my life insurance policy. How much in terms, that's all depending on how you structure it. You can take a loan out of it. You can take it off the cash value. You can take it off the death benefit. You can qualify for different types of programs depending on your particular situation, but it is liquid. Now, is it safe? Yes. If you look in the history and you look at all the insurance companies, the pool of money that they have is so large, and they have to have all these reserves so they can actually do death benefits or death claims. They have that money on hand consistently. And when you start looking in the banks that actually have life insurance policies on their key personnel, it's interesting because you'll look at them and you're like, why do these banks have to have these massive insurance policies? It's because they know that it's safe. It's 100% secure. Now, the ROI on there, yes, they do have ROIs. Depending if you're invested into a policy that is either associated with stocks or another one that's like mutual funds, the difference with that is where they park your money so they can grow. There's an ROI to that. IULs are a perfect vehicle for that, right? These terms may be a little bit over your head. If you guys want to know more about them, definitely reach out to me and my team. We can definitely like sit down, give you a one-on-one so you can understand a little bit more about that, because it is a complex world. There's lots of options, and there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Okay, there's nuances to every family, every individual, age, health concerns, what your plans are, if you're protecting your family, if you're trying to grow wealth. There's so many different ways to fix it. But what I like about life insurance is it's like a Swiss Army knife for finances, right? No matter what it is that you want, there's a tool in there for it. You just got to flip it out and be like, this is what I want to use. And lastly, are there tax advantages to that? Yes, there's 100% tax advantages to life insurance. Okay. Outside of that, guys, like I said, this is basically a lot of the information that I wanted to share with you was what's present today. I wanted to completely be transparent and show you that, hey, there's issues happening in the rest of the world, and we're following suit on that already. You know, it's not mainstream media. You know, the news is not really trying to show this kind of stuff because it doesn't appeal to them and their viewership and the ratings. However, I'm like, definitely open up your eyes, definitely see what's going out there and protect your assets, right? Everybody works super hard for their money, and the last thing that you want to do is have somebody else be in control of it. Right? You want to be in control of your own destiny, your own family, your own well-being. So find a better way to do that. Get your own armored truck where only you have the key to get in there. All right. So if you definitely want to learn more about that, please get this information in here. We have weekly webinars. We can do a one-on-one with you. We can educate you. Okay. This is no strings attached type thing. You want to learn about that? We're giving you education for free so you can master your own finances. All right. Other than that, guys, I would like to open up the floor. If you guys have any comments or questions, If you would like to just drop some knowledge or an example that you have, definitely the floor is yours.
Good stuff. Well, I learned a thing or two there. That was interesting. One thing that I've been sitting here thinking about on my mind, this whole time when you're presenting this is, with everything going on in banking market and the debt ceiling, and we got this deadline here at the end of the month where, they're saying, we may or may not be able to pay our debts as a nation, or just kick the can down the road and print out another, $1.3 trillion or something. That's all that's going to do is prolong the inevitable. So, they've been talking about this currency change to like a digital currency that the Fed coin that might roll out here in this summer, maybe July, they're saying. So, with that in mind, I'm sure you've done some research or heard about, some of that going on. What have you done anything differently or in your planning and stuff like that, or do you have any recommendations?
So that's kind of interesting, because before I got into the life insurance world, I was doing crypto, right? I still do crypto, but crypto for me is more of a long-term play. I'm not looking at it every day or every minute for the most part, just to kind of like do a swing trade where I'm in and I'm out, just to make those small incrementals. But crypto basically has been under the gun the last couple months, especially with FTX and that billionaire who basically took everybody's money with the money rug, or the rug pull, and he ended up running away with it. So right now, crypto definitely has left people with a sour taste in their mouth. And the thing about it is, it's such a new technology and it's not fully understood. People understand the exchange, they understand the blockchain, they understand this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it's just ones and zeros. And you're like, well, where exactly are these funds at? And if these funds are inside of a company that's not regulated, and that's what the government wants to do. The government wants to be able to go in there and see it. But part of crypto is the anonymity of it. If you don't know where the money's coming from and you can't tie a wallet address to somebody's account, that's the beauty of it, right? But then at the same time, that's the double-edged sword, which is like so much nefarious characters and bad business can be done that way, right? So there's that weird balance in there, which is like, okay, if the government's trying to force digital currency, now they're going to start tying every individual to every wallet to be able to monitor every transaction, right? That's not something that a lot of people are going to want to do anyway, especially the low men on the totem pole. We can complain this, but we have no control and no leverage. The big hedge funds, the guys who basically have a lot of influence and a lot of clout, they don't like that either, right? So for me, I'm sitting on the sidelines and I'm watching, right? What I'm doing right now is I'm doing more investments, and I'm doing more private equity, right? So one of the statistics that I gave to you was that about 90% of millionaires are made through real estate. So although the me and G do have a real estate portfolio and we are growing that, the next thing that we're considering is also private equity. So, excuse me, earlier on in the program, there were these things of triple-digit ROIs, quadruple-digit ROIs. And the quadruple-digit ROI, what that is primarily a moonshot. In that class, I had mentioned Jeff Bezos had this quote where, with a moonshot, essentially, if I invest into 10 opportunities, right, 9 of those opportunities can probably fail, right? But that one opportunity can probably blow up so much, and it can have 100x return on your money, where basically just wins out and washes out everything else. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing more of the long-term plays. The short-term plays, the only thing that me and Jeannie are considering right now for a short-term play is a franchise. We're looking into a franchise right now within real estate that has to deal with buy and holds, fix and flips, and wholesaling. All right, next month, we're actually going to go to this workshop and mastermind with Carlos Reyes, also Chris Crone, and a couple of other individuals. And they're going to show us behind the scenes of this new product that they're about to launch, right? It's open for a select few people. This is one of those private equity kind of moves. And once I go in there, for me to be completely diversified, I'm having my franchise to give me the cash flow, right? And then I'm also having the wholesale, the whole life insurance, so I can start building my bucket up and also protecting it. And then at the same time, I still have the real estate portfolio. So the real estate portfolio is doing the appreciation and the growth, and then also the cash flow. So I'm just leaving crypto alone, and I just threw crypto in a vault pretty much. And I'm just like, look, I'll go back and look at it 5 years from now and see if all of a sudden I'm a millionaire overnight.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's wise, you know, diversifying and you know, putting your money in other places, you know. You should have a little, you know, how you were comparing different things. You should throw a crypto tab in there too, because you know that's very relevant now. A lot of people, you know, what are the benefits of crypto? What are the risks and stuff like that? I think you kind of put it out there now.
Yeah, like just yesterday or the day before, I think I went in there and I looked at my cold storage because I took everything off the exchanges. Another thing that I don't do. So instead of leaving them in the exchanges where somebody could do another rug pull, I completely took them off and put them on cold storage. So I have a ledger. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's kind of like a treasure, a little hard wallet. What ends up happening is there's a key in there, and the blockchain is basically, imagine a very long ledger of all transactions that ever take place, right? The thing about the blockchain is they take one transaction, there's a sequence to it, and then the next person, next transaction, whatever, has to take that sequence, do their transaction, and keep moving. That way you look at this chain link that's continuous. If anybody tries to go in this chain link and manipulate it, right, it throws the whole entire chain off because now the numbers, the sequences don't work. Right. So if you were to go in there and try to hack it and say, like, hey, I actually have like $1 million into my wallet, and you just change it, the whole rest of the chain is lying on you. They're like, nope, there's no way that this is possible because we know what the records are in the transaction. So something's wrong here. So what I ended up doing was I took off my my coins off the exchanges and I put them into my cold storage. So on the blockchain, it still shows how much money I have. But my coins are actually on my own person. So now if the exchange were to close, get seized by the government, they got an investigation, blah, 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 they can probably hack somebody else's crap. I'm like, mine are mine. I'm like, they're sticking with me. You can't get those. Right. So I threw them over there and I'm like, I forget about it. The thing about it is, it's like they got some crazy passwords. I got to tell Jeannie about it, you know, because Jeannie's not going to remember those. I damn sure don't remember them. So there's some crazy passphrases. But yeah, crypto is it's its own beast.
Very cool, man. I've never invested in crypto and I don't know enough about it to really get started now, man. So we'll have to see. But that insurance stuff does sound really, really good.
I'm telling you, man, it's crazy though. So I got into it when somebody started explaining to me. So this book, I highly recommend it if you guys ever go online. Right, it's called Have It All by Chris Crone.
Okay.
Right, he has an amazing blueprint here. All right, where I'm drawing a lot of the inspiration for what I'm sharing with you guys. All right, and one of the things that he had mentioned in there was this life insurance bank account. And I was like, what is a life insurance bank account? I never truly understood what that was. And when I started going down that rabbit hole, that's where I started finding out the benefits of the life insurance world. And it was mind boggling to me, right? Because it's not common knowledge. The traditional way of thinking is always like, okay, bank, stock market, and there you go. Bank, stock market, and there you go. And now crypto was a new thing. But when you start really going down that rabbit hole and you start seeing the really wealthy families, right? The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Biltmores, the this, that, and the third, a lot of them have these massive insurance policies built into their trust. And then that's another conversation altogether. But once you build your trust, you start funding it with your properties, your investments, your so on and so forth. There's so much in there, and then you're completely protected for real, for real. Then at that point, if you get a lawsuit, if somebody tries to garnish your wages, God forbid you can't work, this, that, there's so many added bonuses to having one of those that I don't understand why they don't teach that more. they don't share that more. There's only select circles that actually truly understand that. So now that we know that, I'm like, we gotta share it, man. Especially with our community, minorities, the Latin community, we don't think like that. We think for today, and then our backup is basically our kids. We feel like at the end of the day, the kids are gonna take care of us, and I'm trying to break that mold. That's not me. I'm trying to be living my own life. My kids, I want to set them up and have their own life too. So luckily, my little guy, he got the chance to go to Utah with me, right? And he's 17 years old. Well, gonna turn 17 in about 2 weeks. And that guy's mind was blown too. He was completely open to all these concepts. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have known about this stuff at his age. So now he's already talking about this ROI stuff. He's talking about these insurance accounts. He's talking about, franchises and master franchises. And it's an awesome conversation to have with him. Instead of us talking TikTok and look at this other stupid little video on YouTube, this dude's talking about let's make some money. How do we make some money? And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
it's getting through to him.
I mean, he was in the room with billionaires and talking to them and asking them what made them successful. And he was even, I think in one, he even pitched them and said, "Hey, if I get you leads and clients, like, would you pay me?" And I mean, it was just funny to see that light bulb just went off on him. And I mean, he's always had that kind of intuition of I want to be a businessman, but I think this really opened up his eyes to as to there's so many things, so many opportunities that we can all tap into. People are just not sharing it, and it's out there. And it's, if you start, like Will says, if you start reading about it and start exposing yourself, all of a sudden it becomes this thing that you're like, wait a minute, like I'm now starting to be in the circle where everybody is, being successful and doing all kinds of different investments. So
And everybody
it's
talks
pretty
about
cool.
that. That's the other crazy thing too, is that there's a stigma for some people and like a limiting belief that if you talk about money, you're being greedy or you're too money hungry or so on and so forth, right? And I'm starting to realize that that's not true. That's something that our parents and our cultures, for the most part, kind of like embedded into us, right? People who are wealthy, they love talking about money because not only are you being creative, you're removing all these limitations about like, no, this can't be done. No, this can't other thing be done. You're thinking about, dude, how can we do this? And you're connecting a lot of people. And then at the end of the day, here's what ends up happening. You're going to get to a point where you have more than enough money for you, your family, and the lifestyle that you want to live. And then what? Right? You have your dream car, you have your dream lifestyle, you have your dream house. Then what? What happens with all that extra money? Are you just giving it to your kids again and your family and this, that, and the other? You're gonna get to the point where it's just this machine that grows so much, and then you're gonna have power to actually influence other people. If you have a calling and you have something that you definitely want to invest in and want to help, you can do that now. If you want to go back to your hometown and you want to invest into like a new school, a new playground, if you want to help do some humanitarian efforts, if you want to do something with the Special Olympics, whatever it is that you want to do, now you have options and resources to do something. Otherwise, where we're at right now, what are we trying to do? Maybe like a GoFundMe, maybe a social media post, something like that, and we think we're making a big difference. When you make enough money that you have everything for your own lifestyle and then some, now you can really go help out those causes that you like, the veterans or a third world country or something of that effect. You can do all of that because now you definitely do have the money for it. So that's the goal, guys. Obviously you got to do for you first and your family, but once you guys get done with that, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Cool, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm happy with these conversations, guys. Whenever you want to, just here. Let me show that link again if you want. Carlos, I think you already got my number. You can definitely reach me that way. Or if you want to fill out this Google form, it'll just ask you maybe like about a handful of questions on what you're interested in, what you want to talk about, and you can do that.
Cool, man. Sounds good, bro.
All right, guys.
I'll hit you up.
Yes, sir. Well, this was a good conversation. Everybody definitely enjoy your weekend, and have a blast.
Thank you. I want to add something real quick too. Guys, Michael, we're not limited to just the United States. So if you have your goals and you want to reach some, your fullest potential when it comes to financial, definitely this is something that's worldwide. So we can make it happen.
I'm basically learning from you guys.
I know, I see you. I know you're learning. That's why I'm like, hey, don't feel like this is only limited to the United States. We can go international with this and help even more lives. So
Very cool.
Okay.
All right, guys, have a good one.
have a great
Thank you.
one.
Have a good weekend.